Hi, I'm Joe. This is my 2020 MKZ Hybrid. And I want to change the oil today. I'm going to do it a little different than other people, but some people might like to see. Here's the things that I need. This is a vacuum pump. You can pick these up for 60 or 70 bucks from Amazon. It works out great. You could just suck the oil out of the car with that, and it holds 4 or 5 quarts. There's the oil I'm going to put in. This is a hybrid, so I'm putting in a hybrid vehicle oil, 0W20, and it takes 4.5 quarts. So I've got a container here. I'm going to pour a 1/2 quart out. That way all you got to do is dump the rest of what's in that 5-quart bottle into the car when you get everything drained. Of course, an oil filter. Got an oil filter wrench and a jug to put the used oil in, and I'll have another jug as well, and a tray for some of the oil that I pull out the bottom when you're changing the oil filter. Right here is the oil filter cap. Take that out, set it here where we won't lose it, and the dipstick. Now, this pump, put right there. This tube will run down to the very bottom of the oil pan. We'll hook it right there. Now, I've got that in. See over here, this is the pump. Vacuum pump. See the oil coming out? Just let that vacuum pull it out gradually. You can see this is pulling air bubbles. It got to the bottom. Last of the oil going into this container. I like to leave it set like that for a little while, so any other oil can drip down and we'll get it out. This view is under the car. As you can see, there's a shield. It goes all the way around under the engine and under the area where the oil filter is and where the drain plug is. But I'm going to take care of that. With a modification that I've made. Let's see if I can show you this. This is the cover, and over the hole for the oil filter, and then these are thumb screws. You take them off, and this area here slotted so it slits into the hole, and here's the hole to get to the oil filter. The oil filter is right there. This is the cover for my oil filter hole that I put in the bottom of the splash shield. This particular material is a felt material, not too different from what the splash shield's made out of, but it's a little thinner. This is a piece that came out of the trunk floor of a junk car. Went along the edge, flipped up. So I took this and cut the edge, cut it down a little bit, and I made these notches here so that the hole that I cut in the splash shield is about that big. And this tab here fits into the hole, and these are outside the hole. That holds the leading edge, this being the front of the car this way. And that holds it in and keeps things from catching on it if you happen to drive through tall grass or something. And then I poke these holes here using this punch like this could work. You wouldn't have to use this size, but I punch these holes and then fit this up against the splash shield and mark these spots so that I can put the connectors in the right place. I bought this, I'll push this back a little, this piece on Amazon. It comes with this screw, which is Phillips, as well as a hex head. But I wanted, and I could have used those, and I originally was planning on it. So, but I wanted to, I happened to think it'd be nice to have something that was just a thumb screw. So I went to the hardware and bought these. So this way you can just take it on and off without a tool. And so these holes, diameter was kind of determined by the way this thing was shaped. But once you've marked the felt of the splash shield, then you take that felt and you cut a hole with a scalpel. I used a scalpel like this, a very sharp scalpel, which is helpful. And I cut a little rectangular hole like this to fit this at the base. This is 3/8 across, which you have to have, and then down here at the very base it's a 1/4 inch. So this snaps into this hole. So I put holes just like this. This is a piece of the splash shield from under the car. After I cut the hole, I took this piece off. But this piece then snaps in and remains with the splash shield. And if I can get it to snap in there, snaps in like that. So that stays with the splash shield, just like that. And then when you put this on, you line that up and you end up screwing this in like that, screws it down tight. And that holds everything together quite well. These marks I put on, that white is just a paint marker that I did that so that when you're under the car, sometimes it's dark and if you have trouble finding where those are, it just makes it easier to see. Those aren't really necessary, but that's where it is. These you can make holes or drill holes in this, however you want to do it yourself. But this is the device that covers it, and this way I don't have to take the splash shield off to get the oil filter out. Now, most people are thinking you still have to take the splash shield off to get to the drain plug, but I'm using an extraction device, which is basically a vacuum pump with a hose that goes down the dipstick, and that works really well, and I can do that all from under the hood. So I don't have to jack the car up at all. I slide under just far enough to get this thing off and take the oil filter off, clean it up, put a new filter on, and after I've already drawn the oil out, I do that, and then proceed from there. Now, I poked a small hole with a ball in the middle of the filter, and that drains the oil out of it. And you can see it running here. In addition, you can see these red screw adapters, those thumb screws that I took out, are mounted into this shield with those things snap into, you make a small hole and you snap those in, and then the thumb screws thread right into those, and that's what holds that cover for this big hole that I cut in place all the time. About the oil filter, this is the wicks that I'm using to replace. A couple things. One is you need to use a tool like this to get it off, possibly. When you put the filter on, my rule of thumb has always been use your non-dominant. I'm right-handed, so I use my left hand, and there's usually a little oil on my hand, and so with a little bit of an oily hand and using your left hand, tighten it as best as you can, and that's good enough. The other thing you have to remember is put just a teeny bit of oil on this. This oil filter goes on like this. Some people fill them. I don't think that's a big deal, so I usually don't. But I want to point out that the reason I poke a hole in the bottom of it and let it drain is there's quite a bit of oil in the engine that doesn't drain down to the pan. It's right above this. So as you start to take this off, that all runs down over the side of this and all over your hand, and it's just kind of messy. And by taking an awl and poking a hole in the bottom of the oil filter and then letting that dribble out until it stops, that gets enough of that oil out of there. Then when you take this off, it doesn't run all over the place. What I usually do is I'll start the awl, and when it starts to slow down, then I'll go ahead and before I actually start, I use this and make sure that it's loose, it's not tight. So then I can loosen this up just a little bit, so let air go in and let it drain out and finish, and then take it off. And then with the hole in the splash shield, makes it quite easy to take the new one, put a little oil on it, and put it back on, and then I usually leave the extra oil filter cover that I've made for the splash shield off until after I've actually put the oil in and warmed it up, and make sure that there's nothing leaking, and then put that that cover back on with the 4 thumb screws. So this is specifically for this particular filter. They come different sizes. You only need that to get it off, and so take a wrench and take it off. You certainly don't ever want to use that to put it on. It gets it way too tight. Okay, now that we've got the oil drained out, put a new filter on the bottom, and we'll take half a quart of this. We'll take a half a quart of this and out of this, set that aside. Once that's done, we have all that remaining 4.5 quarts poured in. Double check I'll double check the oil level with the dipstick, and it's right at the top little hole, so that's a little higher than the hash marks, but the next step is to go for a ride. Or at least run the engine. Probably run the engine for a couple of minutes, and then check it again. You fill the oil filter and everything. So that's next. Okay. All right. It's got about 5 minutes on it. And we're right at the hash marks at the top. So that's good. We're all done.